Good afternoon, Chairman White, members of the committee and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. I'm Andrew Lee, a Ward 8 resident, musician, violinist, and pianist, and artistic director of DC Strings Workshop, also known as DC Strings. DC Strings is a Ward 8 nonprofit organization committed to bringing music to all parts of our city and providing music education to our youth. To date, we have had over 50 concerts since our founding 2 years ago, and are entering our third season with the orchestra. Many of our concerts and workshops are housed and performed in churches, public libraries, spaces and venues that do not normally have professional music. We combine classical music with jazz and other genres to showcase the diversity that exists in the orchestra. Our orchestra, DC Strings, is comprised of a diverse group of district residents, musicians, and educators from across the city. And we are proud to hire and employ teaching artists from across the district. I'm here today to call for increased investment in out-of-school time programs, quality DPR programming, and equipment that provides opportunities for our youth to learn an instrument and highlights the contributions of local musicians and artists. Too many of our youth do not have access to quality music education programs in their schools, and DPR may be the only place they can receive this instruction. DC Public Schools has not made the investment in providing instruments and instruction in an equitable way that reflects the passion, history, contributions, and musical achievements of Native Washingtonians to the genres of classical, jazz, funk, and go-go musical styles. This is particularly troubling given the fact that DC has had a long-standing history of influencing the national music scene, from Frederick Douglass's grandson, Joseph Douglass, who was the first African-American concertmaster of a major American orchestra, to Chuck Brown and the contributions of go-go, jazz, and blues that they've made to American music. So much of this history is being lost because the musical events, parades, and neighborhood events that brought communities together are not supported like they used to be. The youth are looking forward to these events and would gladly participate as dancers, speakers, musicians in the band or drumline, or participate in a range of other creative ways. I'm calling on DPR to examine how it presents and celebrates music in the district and utilize existing community-based nonprofit organizations to bring this music and art directly to the community through musical instruction, workshops, and performance. Providing musical lessons and instruction in DPR centers showcases the best of the district. There's emerging artists in nearly every neighborhood that would love the opportunity to be involved in the rec centers and work with our youth. It's so important to teach and expose our youth to the possibilities that learning an instrument can provide, from going on tour to being able to pursue music at a professional level or in the university setting. It really can transform lives. We know that students that are exposed to music that play an instrument perform better in school, are less likely to participate in drug activity or violence, and has a very positive effect on the community. I urge the committee to support this request, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you all. I want to start off by saying that I totally agree about accessing more ability to play instruments in the community, because I know I graduated from Volusia High School, so music was big, the band, but the reason why our access to instruments was so top-notch at Blue, because at our local high schools we had great bands. In middle school I went to P.R. Hearst, formerly known as Friendship. Mr. Lyons, music was big there, but now when I look back I don't see the investment in DCPS when it comes to the instruments. Even I know I go to a lot of events. We invite even our elementary schools who have bands to come out, and I see them struggling just to get basic instruments to formulate a band. And so I do agree and see that. I guess for me is, as this is a DPR here, how can DPR be more supportive of that? I know one of the things we talked about was access to space, if you too can speak to more how we can support more of that through programming and through how can DPR be more beneficial to support that?
I think there's a variety of ways DPR could be helpful. One would be the space use, and that would be partnership agreements with community-based nonprofit organizations. Another would be actually offering more musical classes and access. Performing an instrument, there's a number of other ways that youth can get involved in music through music technology and sound recording. I know that there's those facilities at a number of DPR locations, making sure that youth are able to compose their own song or beat or piece of music, and that instruction could be really critical by building those relationships and partnerships with the local musician community.
Yeah, really, just to piggyback on that, everything Andrew said, and also just partnering with other organizations that we have locally that can provide instruments for students. I, for one, am also partnered up with an organization called Capital Percussion, and they have a nonprofit arm of their organization that are able to provide instruments for kids in schools at a very discounted, in many cases at free of charge, high-quality instruments. Also, through after-school programming, setting aside funds to bring in additional teachers to staff and help to work with the students as well.
Is this related to DCPS or is it related to DPR?
This would be directly related to DPR through like out-of-school time programming that they do, and I think the summer camp opportunities, I know that there's a number of sites, at least in Ward 7 and 8, that are going to be housing summer camps. So I think that would be a great opportunity to also make sure there's musical components and that artists and musicians and organizations in those communities are a part of those conversations and leading a lot of those classes and instruction. There's also an opportunity, I know, around various neighborhood events, community events. A lot of times they showcase local artists, so that performance opportunity that brings the community together is a big piece too.